Sometimes it is the most troubled amongst us that have the most to say. Sometimes it is through the darkness that swells deep within certain people the light can be shared to the masses. Sometimes those who have used their tragedies and darknesses to create art continue on the same paths of self-destruction because they fear that changing would result in losing their connection to the reality that they attempt to convey, and thus their connection to the depths of the human condition. The 2009 film Crazy Heart, starring Jeff Bridges and Maggie Gyllenhaal, showcases this heavy theme. My name is Cole. I like movies, let's talk. Crazy Heart tells the tale of Bad Blake, a recording artist and songwriter, as he goes from small venue to small venue across the Southwest. He is a man who is completely alone. In each town, he finds a new backing band to play with, plays a gig or two while staying in whatever crappy hotel his label/manager has set up for him, then makes his lonesome way to the next large town or small city to play a new set for aging fans. His best days are clearly behind him, as his last record isn't selling and greener pastures don't seem to be coming anytime soon. However, as John Donne postulated, no man is an island entirely of itself. He is the way he is as the result of the life he has led and the decisions he has made. He has no wife, though has been married and divorced many times over. He has an adult son who he has not seen or spoken to in 20 years. He is alone, but he is no island, for he has been shaped by the world around him as he has also shaped his world. He is 57 years old, and his lifestyle of constant booze and chain smoking has begun to get the better of him. He has no desire to change this, though. After all, what's the point? Why get better? Why change when he has nobody and no thing to change for? The purpose is non-existent, and so too is his need and desire for it. The first thing in his life that has made him slow down or question his lifestyle happens when he meets a 30-something single mother played by Maggie Gyllenhaal. She is the niece of a piano player hired to play his gigs with him in Santa Fe and a writer for the local paper who he agrees to be interviewed by. He finds something about her charming and curious, though, and even turns down a surefire one-night stand opportunity with a pretty superfan so as to spend more time with her. This says a lot about him, as we discover early that he is not one to turn down such an opportunity. They begin to see each other, with him even going so far as to return to Santa Fe when he has some time between gigs. As a direct result of his boozing and failing health, he is in a car accident just outside of town, and she nurses him back to health while falling further for him despite her better judgment. At one point, he is writing a song and she cries, as she knows that one day she will have to hear this beautiful tune, and meanwhile he will be out somewhere in the world, forgetting entirely about the day that he lay in her bed writing it. He sweet talks her and convinces her otherwise, though. While staying there, we see some of the better elements of Bad. He is a sweet person and makes a point of developing a good relationship with her 4-year-old son, though it is evident that he is ultimately using him as a surrogate son to fill the hole in his heart from having not been a father to his own. The reality is that no matter how sweet he is and how kind his words are, they are ultimately shallow and selfish, because Bad is a narcissist to the core. He seems to genuinely believe that he loves her, but he doesn't. He loves that she loves him, and that he is being given an opportunity to cosplay as what he never was when given the chance in the past, to be a father and a husband. There are several key conflicts within the film. The first and most prevalent conflict comes in the form of Bad versus himself and his demons. The booze has been a constant within his life since youth, and he has yet to get a handle on it. He drinks from the moment he wakes to the moment he goes to sleep, even swigging from a flask while he drives. He is also addicted to cigarettes, which is not surprising, as a 1996 study showed that 80% of people with alcoholism smoke cigarettes, and that smokers are at 2 to 3 times greater risk for alcohol dependence than their non-smoker counterparts. He also battles with the demons of his past, mostly the way he discarded his son and his son's mother. Some part of him feels a great deal of guilt for this, which I suspect is one of the reasons he finds himself so particularly drawn to Maggie Gyllenhaal's character. Another demon of his comes in the form of a young country star named Tommy Sweet. Tommy used to play music with Bad, but now they have completely switched places. Bad is barely selling records and playing bowling alleys in Pueblo, Colorado, while Tommy is producing gold records left and right and playing for massive crowds. Bad resents this and holds within him a resentment for Tommy despite having no real reason to, as when we finally meet Tommy, we see him to be a good man who respects and appreciates Bad, taking every opportunity to credit him for teaching him what he knows. In many ways, the film is about growth and how hard but ultimately necessary it is. Bad needs to grow as a person to learn to get out of his own way. This is easier said than done, of course, as it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks, especially when the dog is an alcoholic narcissist who has previously been rewarded greatly for his lesser qualities and tendencies towards the using of others for his own selfish needs. Maggie Gyllenhaal's character Jean needs to grow as an independent person who can quit giving in to lesser habits. She has seemingly only ever fallen for men who abuse alcohol and take advantage of her kindness. Despite this, she falls for a 57-year-old former country star whose health is rapidly deteriorating. She has to learn and listen to her internal voice and say no when she wants to say no. Just because someone is sweet, interesting, and seems to show a great interest in her does not mean that they are necessarily right for her, especially when they actively do the things she doesn't want them to do. The movie is genuinely great. It's sad, sweet, and heartwarming all at the same time. There are moments in it that are truly hard to watch, but also moments that will leave you thinking about them for days. There's a reason the movie did so well when it came out, after all. Crazy Heart was nominated for 3 Oscars and won 2. Jeff Bridges won for Best Performance by an Actor in a Leading Role, and it was well deserved, as he does a great job of playing Bad Blake. The character feels grounded and very real despite being a bit of a caricature. That's ultimately because of the acting and the directing. Ryan Bingham and T-Bone Burnett won the Oscar for Best Achievement in Music Written for Motion Pictures Original Song category, and it's well deserved, as all of the original music they composed for the film is great, and they're songs that I have since listened to outside of the film. The song they specifically won for was The Weary Kind, which I suggest you listen to even if you don't end up watching the movie. Maggie Gyllenhaal was nominated for Best Performance by an Actress in a Supporting Role, but ultimately lost to Monique for her role in Precious. Honestly, that had to be a tough call to pick between these two performances. One of the things that comes to mind when watching and thinking about Crazy Heart is one of the questions that William asks Russell in the movie Almost Famous. Do you have to be depressed to write a sad song? Do you have to be in love to write a love song? Is a song better when it really happened to you? I suspect for Bad Blake, the answer to all of these questions will be a resounding and definite yes. This is a shame, though I suspect this is a common sentiment with many artists. After all, this would explain why so many artists are miserable people who end up offing themselves. They seem to think that they must torture themselves in order to create art worth consuming. I must also admit that this is a sentiment I used to share as well. I felt that by going through hell myself, I could create better art, and to a certain extent, it's true. However, there comes a point of diminishing return. I experienced a lot of pain between the ages of 19 and 24 or so. I don't think I need to experience any more to tap back into that. Those feelings live within me forever, and I can get them out whenever I see fit. Bad Blake no longer has to put himself through hell either, of course, but he seems hell-bent on repeating the mistakes of his past, never moving forward, and playing the same role at 57 that he played when he was 23. Crazy Heart is an excellent film that absolutely deserved the praise it got and deserves a rewatch if you have already seen it, or a first watch if you haven't. Thank you for sticking to this point in the video. If you enjoy this type of content, be sure to smash the like button and subscribe, as I make video essays about movies every week,